Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this week. And let me tell you, what a week it has been. Holy banana bread. As you guys know, we have been doing the financial blog miss this week. So there's been stuff dropping every single day. Oh boy, it's certainly keeping me on my toes. It is certainly keeping me on my toes for sure. This week, we also hit 5,000 subs. So, woohoo! That, of course, is absolutely fantastic. That means, and it is on the schedule, guys, it is on the schedule on the 20th of December. I initially was going to go with the 19th, and that's a Thursday night. But Jill actually said, why not go with the Friday night? Because, people have less things to do. They don't have to get up the next morning for work and all that fun stuff. So on the 20th, we are going to do our 5,000 celebration stream. It's going to be a whole bunch of fun. I'm going to be quizzing you guys because it's a contest. So I'll be quizzing you guys with fairly easy questions. There'll be a couple of difficult ones in there as well. There'll be, different difficulty levels for sure. But it will be a lot of fun. And whoever wins, because I'll keep a tally of people getting stuff right. Whoever wins, they win an hour of my time. So we're talking, we can take a look at just you and me. We can take a look at your portfolio. If there's something you want me to go over, we can do that. Or heck, maybe you just want to talk about whatever, the good old days or something. We can do that as well. So that is going to be absolutely fun. And maybe as well, I was thinking about it. I might drop the link that night as well, just to let a couple of you pop on if you want to show your mugs on the air. So, I know JJ wants to already. So, yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be kind of cool. Now, another little side note here. I was talking about merch. We were talking about it actually in the earlier stream in the financial blog miss, and somebody was saying that they absolutely need a a Beaver Trump mug. So I'm gonna put that as a high priority going into January. In fact, I might even see. I have to take a look and see how hard it's going to be to get it all set up. But maybe we can get a couple pieces up even before the end of the year. I'm really busy in December because financial blog miss and everything else. But we'll try. Because maybe that's your big thing. You need to have a Beaver Trump mug under your tree this year. So we'll definitely try. We'll try. We will. I'll make the effort. I'll make the effort for sure. All right. This time, guys, we did move back. By the way, we moved back to StreamYard. So they just had a their Black Friday deal beat Ecamm. So I'm just like, I gotta take it. So that's gonna be fun. Actually, StreamYard is better for guests because on Ecamm, I had to create a separate screen, manually configure it for each guest. So if I wanted one guest, I had to manually make that. I had to make one for two, a whole thing. So we're definitely going to have some fun. All right, now I don't want to get too far and let you guys get way, way behind because there's a whole bunch of chat, a whole bunch in the chat already. All right. Prairie says, good afternoon, everyone. Happy Sunday. And Bismarcky says, happy Sunday to everyone. Ian says, hello, everyone. I'm still hungover. Holy banana bread, Ian. How much did you have to drink last night? JJ is in the house with a happy Sunday, everyone. Joe has a good afternoon, Candace. We got Muhammad in the house with a hi, everyone. And Vic is in here. Hey, you okay? Not burning out. Blitz of streams of late. I'm doing good. I'm pacing myself. We're 8 days into this, the chaos of December. So yeah, we're definitely pacing myself. I'm doing good. Today is one of the busiest days of the week. So I've got everything done up to this stream. So once this stream is done this evening, I can just relax. That's fantastic. Prairie says, congrats, Candace, on the channel's milestone. Yeah, I'm happy to see the 5,000. I was happy to see it. It's like, okay, good. We've got that. Now let's start moving towards some higher numbers. So yeah, that was absolutely fantastic. JJ says, I'm definitely joining live. Oh, I knew that. There was no doubt about that. And JJ says, ooh, merch. Yeah, we got it. And here's the thing. I should have had merch done. This is on me. This is totally my failure. I should have had merch by at least by the middle of this year. I think I have an idea of where I'm going to get it done at. So I'm going to look into that. Tomorrow I'll probably do some initial feels. Just to see what we're looking at. And even if it's just a matter of getting that one mug up, I will get that done because Bismarcky wants to buy it. So I can't disappoint Bismarcky. So we'll definitely get that to go. All right. Mary says, you go, Candace. There we go. Absolutely. Thank you, Mary. And of course, guys, Mary's here. So you got to hit that like button. I have no clue how many likes we are. That's the one downside with StreamYard is it doesn't give me that account. I did like that with Ecamm, but I'll put the trust in you guys. Just hit the like button. Let's get it up there. Let's get it done. All right. JJ is saying Canva designs. Now I do use Canva. All my thumbnails I make them all over on Canva. So plus Printify and print.ly. Yeah, there is. I'm trying to remember the name of it. I think it starts with an F. That a lot of creators use. I have to remember the name of it. I actually have it bookmarked in Discord because they have a Discord server. Is it something like I don't know. Now we'll look a little later. All right. Benny is in the house with a hello, Candace. Hi, Benny. Always good to see you. Yeah. Oh boy, we caught up. That means we can actually do our first news story, which is fantastic. I always like getting the news out of the way. So guys, we had Canadian jobs report drop on Friday. It wasn't good. So unemployment came in at 6.8%. Now we were estimated, we thought it was only going to come in about 6.5. So that's the same as where it was at last week, but it came in pretty darn hot. So we got a lot of unemployed folks out there for sure. Overall, we did gain 50.5 thousand jobs. Now, the nice part about that part is that we were only anticipating 32,000. So we did beat that. Last month, we only gained 14.5 thousand. So when we look between full-time and part-time, interestingly enough, more of those jobs were full-time. So we added 54.2 thousand full-time jobs, and we lost 3.6 thousand part-time jobs. And here's the expectations on this. We were expected to add 11,000 full-time and 21,000 part-time. That's not what's happening. And that's kind of showing us. It's kind of showing us that things are a little bit strange. I think in retail particularly, normally normally this time of year, retail is adding a bunch of people just to get through all that Christmas rush and everything. But maybe this year they might be letting a few of those people go. Maybe they're not getting as big a rush as we are hoping. Mind you, some people are holding off, of course, until that GST holiday. So that's going to be very interesting. Now, wages came in at 3.9%. They're actually lower than what we had expected. We had expected them to come in at 4.8%. Last month, they were at 4.9%. So definitely interesting there. Now, this unemployment rate, it's definitely a huge reflection of our weakening job market, because that's what we're looking at, folks. And this unemployment rate, guys, it is the highest since January of 2017. Now, I will point out, we are excluding the pandemic years because those were extraneous circumstances for sure. Now, the job report also added that 46.3% of unemployed Canadians in November had not worked at all in the last year and had never worked. That's up from 39.5% a year ago. So that's, there's a lot of, I think there's people out there that are all got to the point that they've just given up. They've given up looking. It's not that good out there. And you have to keep in mind, when we're looking at these numbers, we're also looking at, we have a lot of immigration, even though there's plans to sort of tone it down, we still have a lot. So there's a lot of people competing for jobs, and it's not the best out there at all. Now, unemployment, it rose in wholesale and retail trade sector. So that was up 39,000 positions. The construction industry was up 18,000 positions, which is good. I want to see construction going up because we need to build. We need to build more houses. Also, professional, scientific, and technical services were also up 15,000 positions. The big losses were in manufacturing. So that was down 29,000 jobs. Warehousing was down 19,000 jobs. And that kind of makes sense. If we're not making products, we don't need to store them, right? Not good, not good. Now, we also had, I'm just going to include this in here, the U.S. job report dropped as well. The U.S. jobs doing much better. Their unemployment is steady at 4.2%, and they added 227,000 new jobs, which is a little bit more than they expected. They were expecting 214, so they came in a little bit better. Their wages are sitting at 4%, so they had a 4% increase in wages on average. Estimated was 3.9, so those were a little bit higher than they like. But here's the thing. We got a couple of things happening when it comes to the rate cuts. So for Canada, these numbers are terrible. These numbers are putting a lot more pressure that the Bank of Canada next week, Wednesday, in fact, there's going to be a lot of pressure for them to go big. When I say big, I'm talking 50 basis points. It's interesting because we had inflation starting to rear up again, and it was really looking like we were falling back to a 25 basis point cut. But this job report changes everything a little bit. I think now that I would say there's about a 70% chance that we'll see a 50 basis point cut when it comes to Wednesday. So we'll definitely. Well, we got a market close that day, so we'll definitely be talking about that for sure. So the U.S., though, with the strength of their market, there's really no pressure for them to cut. I think they're still going to do the 25 basis points. We meet Wednesday, the Bank of Canada, so Canada. They meet the following Wednesday. So they're basically a week behind us this month. I think they will cut 25 basis points, and I think that's December 18th, if I'm correct. So it's coming. It's all coming. We gotta sort of see where things are going. All right. Benny says, congratulations on the 5,000 subscribers. Absolutely. I love it, love it, love it. Now, mind you, I imagine in that 5,000, there's probably some zombie. When I say zombies, I'm sort of thinking of people who subscribed and then just don't know how to remove it or never watch, or, everybody has those. You're carrying along a bunch of dead subscribers as well with you. Every so often though, YouTube will come through and purge some of them. So there will be, because I remember I had that one day, what was it, about a month ago, where I got up one day and I was like down 10 subs. I'm like, what What's going on? What'd I do? But it was just one of them YouTube purges. They do it. They do it. Absolutely. Marion is in the house. Afternoon, Candace and followers listening to the live while working. Oh, well, hopefully you're off soon. Hopefully you're off soon. It always sucks to work on a Sunday. Unless you really, it really depends. I know back in the day, I used to always like to work on the weekends and have a couple of weekdays off as long as they were consecutive, only because that was back in the day when I didn't want to deal with crowds on the weekends on my days off. If I had a couple of weekdays off, I could get out, I could do some shopping. I wouldn't have to deal with tons of crowds. It used to work. It used to work for me. But nowadays, how many of us even go to malls anymore? I know I don't. I can't remember the last time I've been in a legitimate mall. Oh, yes, I can. Um, There was a day last summer when I accidentally got on the wrong bus coming home. I ended up in Quebec, and I found a bus in Quebec that could get me to the Rideau Center, and I had to walk through the Rideau Center to get to the O train. So, yeah. So I have been in a mall recently, but I wasn't there shopping. I was just passing through, really. Anyway, let me ask you guys: are you guys still using malls? Are you shopping like for Christmas? Are you buying your gifts at the mall, or is it all Amazon? Is it all Amazon? Holy banana breads! And I'll tell you, if the answer is it's all Amazon, no, the maybe I can see why. It's a very popular investment choice. All right, Balik is in the house with a hey all. JJ says mostly Amazon. Mostly Amazon. There we go. What can you say? Excuse me. All right. All right. Let's take a look at our next story as we're getting these out of the way. So as you guys know, January 1st is their new contribution room on the TFSA. So we're set to increase that room by $7,000. And as well, in addition to that, if you have spent any or pulled any money out of your TFSA, you'll get that space back too. So $7,000 plus any used contribution room in the year, that all drops back into your TFSA on the 1st of January, which is absolutely cool. Now, this is the second highest increase we have seen. And of course, it's thanks to inflation. They actually have a formula that works inflation in to determine how much space we get each year. And inflation helped get us up to 7,000 instead of like 6,500 or 6,000. Now they did increase. They increased by 75% between 2009 and 2020, and maybe even more by today. So that's kind of really, really, really interesting. Sorry, that's contributions overall. I probably should read everything to you. So TFSA contributions are on the rise. People are learning about it. They're actually using it. That's what's really, really good, is that people are using the TFSA, getting it all in order, which is good. Now, as I said before, the contributions overall have increased by 75%. That's between 2020. I was going to say 2009, but it's 2009. Holy banana bread. And of course, 2020. So we have, we're using it more. This is really fantastic. Now, what's really interesting is in that same time frame, RRSP contributions only increased by 21.1%. So it does show how much more popular the TFSA is. And the TFSA, quite hands down in most cases, is your go-to registered account. Now, what is interesting though, and this is kind of what I think, is that the really smart investors, they're going to be using both. So as you guys probably know, if you have job matching at home, like your job, not at home, but if you have RRSP matching with your job, so they're like, you can put in, let's say $50 or $100 every paycheck and we'll match it. You got to be doing it. You got to be doing it because you're doubling your money. You're doubling your money for free. That's basically a 100% return on investment. So that is always number one. That's your number one priority. If you have that, um, then your TFSA basically trumps pretty much everything, unless you're in a situation where you really are needing to defer some taxes. So if you're running into a situation that you're like, I have got to get out of this bracket, I need to knock my tax down a little bit, that's perfectly fine as well. And also, I mean, considering, I was going to say, you can also be a situation where you may just want to be putting some of that tax money into like your spousal RRSP as well, as just another way to pull down them taxes. So, anyway, the TFSA, very, very popular. I love it. It is my number one go-to for sure. All right. JJ says I barely go to the malls. Too busy. Yeah, yeah. Let's see. JJ says, "Oh, forgot to update you, Candace. I'm officially bought stuff on Wealthsimple Margin since a week." Oh, nice, nice. And so far, it's going good. All right. That's hopefully it stays good. Now where we are in a bull market, it should be. You shouldn't have you shouldn't have too many problems. But be careful when we do. When the market does decide to head into a bear market, that's where you're going to want to be really careful with that margin account. Amanda says, I was at the mall yesterday and it was busy, but I was just there for a couple of things and left. It wasn't as crazy as I expected. No, it's not anymore, because a lot of us are doing the Amazon thing. I remember back in the olden days, I would go to the mall in December, and it would feel like you were in a mosh pit as you're trying to get from one store to another. So busy, so busy. I think those days are completely gone, for sure. Absolutely. Oops. A Prairie says, my daughter and I are foregoing gifts this year and going on a road trip to Banff for the holidays. Oh, nice. Yeah, Banff is pretty darn awesome. I do love Banff. You'll probably get to see some elk while you're up there too, which will be kind of fun. Let's see. JJ says 15K on margin so far. Okay. Interesting. Jungle says, I use both. This year is RRSP as I'm finally hitting 6 figures in pay. Holy banana bread. That's not too shabby. Not too shabby. Yeah. And that's the thing. Your RRSP is your tax deference account. You use it strategically. If you need to get the taxes down, you need to be using the RRSP. But keep in mind, once you get to that point where you're retired or you're looking to move into retirement, you definitely want to try to get that TFSA full, because that's going to be your tax-free. And if you're going into an income portfolio, that's where all of that money, tax-free money, is going to come up, and it's not going to mess with any of your government supports, which is really, really good. All right. Jersky says, hello, when you get your new TFSA limit, do you try to fill it as soon as possible or just put in so much monthly? It really depends, right? If you've got the money and you fill it sooner than later, you are taking advantage of all of that tax-free space. So if you say, oh, I'm just going to divvy it out over the year, the stuff you're not using is not producing any tax-free income, or it's not, or growing that contribution room bigger. So I would say, if you've got the money, fill it as fast as you can. Or in some cases, like if you're in a situation where your TFSA is full and, look at us right now, we're in December, and you're thinking about, okay, well, I do have stuff outside of my TFSA too. This is that time where you may want to look at maybe taking some tax loss harvesting, moving it into your TFSA. And I did, was it Ian last week? No, it was Paul. Paul was mentioning that if you sold stock A and moved it into your TFSA and bought it there, that they would nullify that tax loss, your tax loss harvesting on that. And that is right. I double checked that because I was like, that sounds like something the government would do. So I did double check that, as I said I would. So yeah, you want to buy a different stock in this situation. So let's say, for example, you wanted to move one of your bank stocks in. You could sell your Scotiabank in your non-registered account, move that money, move 7,000 of that money into your TFSA, and then you could buy a different bank, for example, like you could buy CIBC, you know, or maybe it doesn't even have to be a bank. But anyway, I would still fill it. I would still fill it, get that stuff moving, get it growing sooner than later. All right. JJ says I go in all at once or as much money from my non-registered that I can deploy. Yeah, exactly. Why wait? Why wait? And Jungle says I put my tax refund in my TFSA. Nice. Now, Jungle, you must be doing some pretty good taxes if you're making six figures and you're pulling off a refund. That's not too shabby. But you're using your RRSP. That's probably helping big time when it comes to getting yourself a tax refund. Jersky says, thanks, Canada Ace. There we go. The extra A in there. Love it. And JJ, it's actually funny. One time I went to sign my name and I was totally distracted and I don't know what was happening. I looked down and I just realized I just wrote down Canada. I was like, what did I just do? But that was funny. No, that was definitely funny. All right. Let's talk a little bit about some doctors. Everybody loves the doctor. Well, over in Quebec, we got an interesting thing going on with the doctors over there. So Quebec's health minister has tabled a brand new bill that's going to force new doctors trained in Quebec to spend the first 5 years of their careers working in Quebec's public health system. I think that's I'm actually I kind of think this is a good thing. So doctors who enter the private sector or move outside the province within that period would face fines of up to $200,000 per day. So it's not like you're just going to get hit with $200,000 and that's it. They're going to hit you every single day. So in other words, it's pretty much impossible to leave the Quebec system for that first 5 years. And the justification that Quebec is using is that training a new doctor costs them roughly between $435,000 and $790,000. So that includes residency, adding the doctors. That includes, of course, residency. Now, adding the doctors have a duty to care for the people that paid for their studies. And that's kind of that whole idea is that, you know what, if we're going to help you get your medical school, get your residency, and we're investing in you, we want a return on that investment. And that's what they're looking at. So last month, 400 of 2,536 doctors who completed their studies between 2015 and 2017 have left Quebec for other jurisdictions. So this has been a real problem. Actually, interestingly enough, Ontario steals a lot of the Quebec doctors. Yeah, we're guilty. We're guilty here. And it makes sense. It makes sense. Like one of the things I've always thought is that when you have a doctor shortage, if you can open up more spaces in med school, and even if it got to a point that you start sponsoring students, like as a government, with them guaranteed to stay in your province for, in this case here, Quebec is thinking 5 years is a good amount of time. I'm agreeing. I'm totally agreeing with Quebec on this one. It makes a lot of sense because I know a lot of doctors, they just want to get out of the system. They want to go where the money is big. It's also nurses as well. Like you'd be surprised if you saw how many Canadian nurses end up going to the United States. It happens a lot. A good example of that actually is my sister. My sister, she took her nursing at was it? I think it was Dalhousie. It was either Dalhousie. It was one of the universities in Halifax, but I'm pretty sure it was Dalhousie. So she finished. She started working at the VG in Halifax, and quite literally, people from Texas, some recruiters from Texas came up and offered her a ton of money, offered to fly her there, offered to even set her up with a roommate, do everything for her. Well, yeah, she took it. And I think a lot of nurses do. So, let's try to protect our own talent a little bit. And even if it's a situation like, you could give people a choice, like, all right, you pay for the whole thing yourself if you plan to go someplace else. But, if you agree to stay here for 5 years, we'll subsidy you a little bit. I think that's a fantastic idea. I'm very much in favor of it for sure. Ian says, did not know the CRA would cancel the tax loss if you rebought in the TFSA. Good to know. Yeah, and that's it. As long as you buy a different stock, you're fine. But they will do it if you buy that same stock in the TFSA. I know I was a little surprised. Because I really didn't think that they were sophisticated enough to, for one, look across different accounts. But apparently they are. Apparently they are. Jersky says, I watch these when I'm in the tractor. Sorry about my spelling and spelling correct. No worries. No worries. Hey, I don't mind being tractor entertainment. Why not? Why not? Ian says, Jersky, are you doing snow removal or feeding cattle? That's a really interesting thing. I'm gonna guess feeding cattle. That will be my guess. I'm gonna take the feeding cattle guess. Because normally, well, I mean, a tractor can remove snow, but I just have a feeling that I have a feeling it's farm related. I don't know why. I don't know why. All right, guys. Let's push ahead. Let's push ahead. All right. Good old Air Canada has a new money grab. So if you remember the good old days, and we're still in them until January, that you could take a carry-on the plane for free. Well, Air Canada is putting a stop to that. So starting on January 3rd, customers flying with Air Canada's lowest cost basic tier to some destinations. They never really clarified if it's what destinations, but I think most of it's domestic. You will have to pay $35 for your carry-on. And if you want to carry 2 bags on, it's going to be another $50 for that second bag. And what's more, if you try to bring a bag that's deemed too big to be a carry-on, you'll get hit with a $65 fee. So that little thing that they try to get you to push, that little frame that you have to push your carry-on into to prove it's the right size. If you can't fit it in that, you're looking at a $65 fee. Holy banana bread. Now, this is only affecting people who are paying the lowest, basically the budget tickets. So if you are a status member, a Star Alliance Gold member, or an Aeroplan Premium card holder, you still get free carry-on. But anybody who's buying budget or just the cheap planes or the flights, they're going to start nickel and diming you a little bit. Now, you are still allowed to bring on one personal item, which would include smaller bags, so a purse or a computer bag, and it has to be small enough that it can be stowed under the seat in front of you. Now, these changes do not affect, so if you have things like a stroller or a medical device or a mobility aid, those are exempt from it. So you can still bring those on free of charge. Now, WestJet, well, actually, before we get to that, WestJet is actually already doing this. So that's, it's not like you can say, okay, I'll just fly WestJet then. You're going to pay on WestJet. They're already doing it. Now, the other change, which apparently is I don't know. I can't see any rhyme or reason other than just a straight up money grab. If you want to change your seat, you used to be able to change it for free during check-in, but not anymore. It's no longer free. So beginning now, this one doesn't begin until January 21st. But if you're traveling on a basic fare, you're going to be unable to change your seat unless you pay a fee. And they didn't actually specify what that fee is going to be. But looking at these other fees, it's probably going to be like, I'll bet you it's going to be like $35 to change your seat, which really, really sucks. Because I don't know about you guys, but I love a window seat. I've never sat anywhere but the window because I just want to be able to look out, watch the ground. It's where I want to be on a plane. So I don't want an aisle seat. I just don't. I'm okay with the window seat, and keep in mind too, like even if something went wrong on the plane and we actually had like an emergency landing or something, I'm still wanting that window seat. If I'm in a plane that's going to go down, I want to at least have some entertainment on the way. Look at it that way. All right. Jersky says both. All right, so both the farm stuff and the snow stuff. All right. Let's see. Ooh, still digging out from our big snowfall a couple of weeks ago. Getting ready for more snow this week. Yikes. So I am thinking, I'm trying to think where Jersky is. Are you down by the lakes? Are you down by Lake Superior where they had all of that crazy snow? I'm sort of thinking that that's the only huge snow that I know of. Now, we had snow here last night. Probably got about 12 centimeters, I think. We got another batch coming tomorrow, another 5 centimeters. And then we get rain. Wonderful. Tuesday is what I call a soup day. So after you've got a bunch of snow on the ground and then you get a bunch of rain, everything is soup. So I'm really glad I don't have to do anything outside on Tuesday. So yeah, so you guys now know for sure that Tuesdays, the little live stream I do on Tuesday, you don't have to worry about it. We're not going to be outside. Northeast Saskatchewan. Okay. See, I wasn't aware that there had been a lot of snow there. Interesting. JJ says, I spent 3 hours shoveling snow today for an elderly neighbor. Oh, look at that. That's nice. That's really nice. Oh, that's great. Um, it's actually funny. We don't have to shovel, well, at least our front. We have to shovel the back, but our front walkway is shoveled by because the house that we're in, it's like kind of them townhouses. It's almost like a condo, but a house. So yeah, the group that runs it, they do all of that shoveling. So shoveling, and they put some ice down or ice down. They put some some salt down for the ice. Could you imagine if they're putting ice down? It would be like, that'd be slippery. Let's see. She had such a large yard, and I was packing snow, so my back is aching. Oh, yikes! Yeah. Well, take it easy now. Let's hope you don't have to do too much more of it. Oh, and you're getting some money for it. Okay, there you go. There you go. More money for the investments. Nice. Gotta love it. Or maybe treat yourself to a hot chocolate after that. That's what I say. All right, guys. Oh, we're getting through the news quickly. I like that. I like that. All right. I have we're just talking about the CRA. I actually have a CRA story. Um, so the federal government, some reports came out in regards to some of the CEBA loans. The federal government, they paid out over 3.5 billion worth of these Canadian emergency business accounts loans, so CEBAs. Basically, they paid out 3.5 billion to ineligible businesses. And this was all, of course, during the pandemic, just to make sure we put ourselves in the right time frame here for that. Now, in total, we're actually talking about 77,000 businesses that these were all paid out to. So we got a lot of ineligible businesses that all got loans, and now comes the time where we have to try to get them to pay some of that back. So, oh boy. Right now, currently, there's more than 8.5 billion in CEBA loan repayments, and some of that money is not coming back. Why? Because some of it is flittering away as these ineligible businesses. Some of them are going belly up, and that's probably why some of them were ineligible. They didn't have the structure, or even to even be able to handle the loan in the first place. So a lot of these are going completely insolvent. That's money that's just disappearing. So we're not going to get all of the money back. There's no way about it. Now, in all fairness, there was 49 billion doled out to eligible businesses, and some of them are also going belly up. So that's money that's also not going to be recovered. And that's just part of what happened with all of these loans during the pandemic. And here's the thing. That does not even count all of the ineligible individuals who got a bunch of money and support during the pandemic. As you guys have probably heard, there's been a lot of scammers out there that have stolen money from the CRA during that time. And I don't think we're going to get any of that back. I don't think we might get a little bit, but we're not going to get much of it back. So the total amount lost to ineligible payments and fraud across all pandemic support programs, that number is still under assessment. They don't have a number yet for us, but they are suggesting that it's going to exceed about $10 billion. So, yeah, no wonder inflation was so crazy. No wonder. It's not good. It's not good. JJ says, can't take it easy. I got my volleyball league finals tonight. Oh boy. Oh, well, you might want to ice the back. Maybe take a couple of Advil or aspirin before you go play. John Locke is in the house. Happy Sunday. Always good to see you, John. I haven't seen you in a bit. So good to see you for sure. Holy banana bread. So yeah, those supports, it's kind of interesting. I've said this before. I really think that it was run the wrong way. Like, I know the initial stuff. So like the initial CERB stuff. Okay, sure. We needed to move fast. We needed to make sure that people could pay their bills, that they could feed themselves, all of that stuff while the lockdowns were going on. Fine. But while you were doing that, I think there was enough time that, the government, the CRA could have got their ducks in a row a little bit, and maybe put a little bit more checks and bounds in there while moving into the second phase of supports and some of the business supports, just so we didn't get into this situation. The fact that there's so many scammers that just basically were able to steal the CERB, that's crazy in my opinion. But it's over and done now. And at this point, all we can really do is, if there's ever another crisis of this sort, hopefully the government has learned from it. That's what I'm thinking. Hopefully they've learned from it. All right. Now we got another. We're almost through the news. I'm impressed. I'm really impressed. So asylum seekers. So the government right now, they're rolling out a global campaign to let asylum seekers know that Canada is no longer an easy country to get into. So, yep. So this, of course, is a response to the fact that we are been getting a record number of requests. And we're expecting that number to keep on trucking through the rest of this year. So right now, they are looking to they're spending $250,000 for online ads to basically correct some of the misinformation that makes Canada an easy target. So just to give you an idea of some of the numbers, in the first 9 months of 2024, we've seen 135,525 people claim asylum in Canada so far. Here's the thing. So claims are only granted if there's a valid threat of persecution. However, it takes us about 2 years to figure out whether or not that's the situation. And during that time, they're provided with work permits as well as health care until we can review it. So, that, of course, adds more strain to the overall system. If there's a healthcare crisis going on, and we got a lot of people who are trying to get into Canada through asylum, and they're all getting healthcare in addition. So it puts a strain on the system for sure. Now, what's really kind of interesting is in 2023, the government waived a requirement for those on a visitor visa to prove they plan to return home. So in other words, they made it easier. They made it easier to get into Canada. And then once you're here, claim asylum. Simple as that. Now, what's going to be really interesting is that the number of international students, international students are another big source of asylum seekers. So international students filing asylum claims rose to over 12,000 in the first half of this year. And that's basically as the government made it harder to stay on a temporary visa. So we definitely have to clean this up a little bit. A lot of other countries are starting to make it much, much harder to get in and a claim, basically as ask for asylum. It's getting very, very much more difficult. And this is going to make Canada even a larger target. When you look at the United States, for example. I don't think a lot of people are looking to claim asylum there with the new government coming in. So some of those people might say, "Oh, well, let's go to Canada instead." It's Canada's easy; we can get in there. But I think we do need to sort of buckle down quite a bit on all of this. We really need to, take care of our current infrastructure. I love like I'm a big fan of immigration, absolutely. However, we can only allow in enough people for what we can support, and at this point in time, we don't have that infrastructure. So, we got a couple of choices. One, we can pull back on immigration, and that will hurt our GDP for sure. It will hurt the economy, or we try to get a lot more houses built. Remove red tape, get in some of those workers, and some of those workers, you know what? If we don't have enough workers here to do all of the construction, then that's where you want to look. You want to be strategic with your immigration. You got a carpenter who's applying to immigrate to Canada. Wonderful. Get them in there, get them working. Let's get these houses built. And I think that will be good because here's the problem, and this is kind of this thing that I think people don't think about. We're at a point right now where the fertility rate of Canada is lower than what we need just to maintain our population. So we need immigration. Otherwise Canada's going to be in trouble. Most of the Western countries are all in the same boat. Everybody needs immigration, but you've got to have that infrastructure. You can't have a situation where you pull in a lot of people and you don't have places for them to live, or you don't have healthcare to be able to accommodate those people. So those things have to become a high priority. We have to get that all fixed. We need to get whether it be more doctors, whether we train more doctors, whether we look at stuff like what Quebec is doing and sort of make that a nationwide thing. We definitely just need to really, really put the pedal to the metal, get the infrastructure in place so that we can bring in more immigration. And then we can live in our happy little what do we call it? A mosaic. And I'm happy with it. Just get the infrastructure. Let's increase the quality of life for Canadians, immigrants, and maybe those immigrants can then become Canadians, and then we'll just be all big happy family the way it always has been. Let's see. John says, "Congrats on the 5K subs." Thank you. Vic says, "John Locke, like on Lost." There we go. Let's see. So I've heard. I've never watched the show. It's actually interesting. There's also a John Locke who's an author. So there's a few John Locks out there, and then we got John Locke. Well, we got this. This is the, this is the only John Locke we all know. So this is the original John Locke. We'll go with that. Vic says, "The best of TV, Ola 2005. Jay says, "The world is becoming unstable day by day. The small businesses are gone and only the elites survive." Oh, yes. Mom and pop shops are becoming a thing of the past. And we've all seen it. There's this thing I call it Walmartism. So what Walmartism is you've got these really big chain stores like your Walmarts, and they move in, and the smaller stores, they just can't compete. Because when Walmart goes to buy a product, they're not just buying one, or they're not just buying a handful. They're buying them in crazy quantities. And because of that, they can get deals that nobody else can get. And that makes it really, really hard for mom and pop shops to be able to compete. To be honest, I think the only thing that keeps a lot of mom and pop stores alive is some people are like, "I don't want to give to Walmart. I want to give to the mom and pop. I'll pay more to give to that mom and pop store." So that's what keeps those guys alive. But I mean, the reality is as these bigger stores take over, you have Walmart, of course, and then you got Amazon, and we're all guilty of Amazon. I mean, they're pulling everything to the point that a lot of these stores are just not surviving. Like malls are, they're a dying breed. Now, mind you, there are some exceptions. Things like destination malls, I think will thrive and do really, really well. So a destination mall to me would be like West Edmonton Mall. You're going there, it's like a tourist attraction all on its own. Like, you got a roller coaster in it and you got a wave pool and pirate ships. I mean, come on. Who doesn't want to go to that? And you're there, so there's stores. So you're like, oh well, I am here. I might as well go in and look at stuff. So, those type of malls I think are going to do good. And then there's that other new big mall that just opened in Montreal. I think that's also going to be a bit of a destination mall as well. So the big malls will do really, really good. The little malls, I don't see much of a history for them. So, or history, sorry, future. they're going to be history. They're becoming history. So what can I say? Vic says, world instability, rising unemployment, inflation, and market goes gangbusters. Makes no sense. Yeah, I know. Well, the world instability. I think right now at this point, a lot of people are sort of really looking like you've got President-elect Trump, who's basically saying, I'm working already on getting peace between Russia and Ukraine. Hey, I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that. But we are seeing some stuff, with the deal that Biden helped broker over in the Middle East. That's making things interesting. And now we had that whole Assad thing over the weekend. That's kind of crazy. Now, that's actually a little bit of a defeat for like Iran and Russia, because they were backing them. So it's an interesting world. But there is a lot of companies that are doing really, really well. We're in the middle, of course, of a AI boom, and right now, we're starting to see AI wake up again. Like OpenAI, for example, they're doing their their 12 days of OpenAI, and they're releasing something new. The first day they actually released the full version of O1, and then they also created a pro version, like it's a $200 a month version as well. And then I think on Friday, they released that on Thursday. On Friday, they released something for developers for the back end, for people who are basically making their own models, but they're going to release something every weekday for 12 days. So we got to see what's coming in here. Now, some of the rumors is, if you've heard of Sora. So Sora is this really crazy thing that OpenAI has been working on that does videos. The rumors is that might be on the last day of this. We'll have to see. I don't know if it is or if it will or not, but if it is, holy banana bread, that will be cool. I really want to get my thoughts. I really want to get my my hands on that. I said thoughts because of this comment here. I was kind of reading it as I was talking. So Michael says, "Hello, Candace. Can I please get your thoughts on Amerigo, ARG.TO? So the copper factory in Chile for income." All right. Yeah, let me finish the news. I think I have one story left. Let me just get through that really quickly, Michael, and then I can pull up the other screen and we'll take a gander at it for you. All right. This is what everybody has been waiting for. We have our Trump beaver again, making dams great again. What can I say? So yeah, there was a report that dropped about what would happen if we got into a Canada-US trade war. So with, of course, the threat of tariffs, and I'm in the camp that I don't believe they're going to happen, but with the threat of them, Scotiabank decided to do some modeling to give us a picture of the worst case scenarios. So these are just scenarios. I don't think they're going to happen. So I'm just going to reiterate, I do not believe we have to worry about this at all. But at the same time, it's kind of interesting to see what would happen if it happened. So They came up with two scenarios if the US goes ahead with their 25% tariffs. So the first is Canada decides not to retaliate with tariffs of our own. We just sort of accept it. We grin and bear it. Well, in that situation, oh boy, we're looking at our economy shrinking by about 3.8%, which is basically that's about twice as much as what we saw with COVID. So that's a pretty big shrinkage right there. The loonie in this situation would fall as much as 20% against the US dollar. Oh boy, that wouldn't be good. And unemployment. We already have a problem with unemployment, but this would knock unemployment up by about a third. So that would not be good at all. All right. So is that the worst case scenario? Believe it or not, it isn't. The worst case scenario, so this is us going from the frying pan to the fire, is if Canada decides to retaliate against the United States and basically matches them tariff for tariff. In that situation, our economy contracts by 5.6%. The loonie still falls about 20%. So that one's kind of standard. Unemployment arises. Oh, unemployment rises by a crazy amount. I'll put it at that. I'll put it at that. Um, Before we were looking at it going up by a third. Look at it by going up by almost a half. It's not good. It's not good. In addition to that, we would also have massive inflation hitting us. So we would be looking at a 4% increase in inflation, and thus the Bank of Canada would be forced to raise interest rates again, and we'd be looking at interest rates going up about 280 basis points. So yeah, luckily, guys, these are not going to happen. They're not going to happen. These were just some modeling that Scotiabank decided to do. We're safe. We're safe. Absolutely. No worries there. No worries there. All right. Say goodbye to Trump Beaver because we actually have a small little story here just on XRP. And I've mentioned this before in the week. So with the big explosion that we've seen in XRP, they actually passed Tether to become the third most valuable crypto by market cap. And there's been two big drivers of this. So I mentioned this before. One is that potential approval of their new stable coin, so RLUSD. That could happen. That could actually happen this week. There's also another potential approval of an XRP ETF. Now, that one won't actually happen until next year, so in 2025. But those are what is driving up the price. Very quickly, just before we get back to the chat, next week in Canada, we do have the Bank of Canada rate decision. That is on the 11th. In the US, we've got CPI data dropping on the 11th and PPI data dropping on the 12th. Not a lot going on next week in earnings. Empire's dropping their earnings, and Enghouse Systems is also going to be dropping their earnings as well. There we go. Holy banana bread. All right, now let's get back here to the chat. All right, now Michael had asked about ARG. Okay, let us do this. I remember it used to go away on its own, but now it doesn't. All right, we have this. All right, now I actually have to share. Give me a second. I'm going to pull up my my screen so that we can actually do that. We'll do no, we won't do that. We're going to do a window here. What is the window I'm looking for? This one here. Bang. Boom. All right. There we go. There we go. Oh, it's got me as a square. I want to be a circle. Oh, I guess here we go. This one. There we go. I'm trying to get these all worked out to get some nice flow. So far, not so much, but there we go. We have our circle. All right, so ARG, let's pull it up here. Whoops, there we go. All right, now this is Amerigo. I do like Amerigo. They are kind of a penny adjacent stock, though. I will put that out there. Now, at one point, they were almost up to about $2. They've been moving sideways for a while. Always fun. Right now, they are they are profitable. Oh, it annoys me, these ads that keep popping up and resizing things on me. But they have a pretty big dividend, and that's kind of one of those things here. Like, I've never quite understood why they're paying such a high dividend. Because normally, if you're only like a buck something, I'd be looking at growing, opposed to paying out a dividend. But they're paying out a dividend nonetheless. Now, here's some of the good things about them. They've got very little debt. So we're looking at 14% debt to equity ratio. They've got a really good a return on equity, 19.53. Their return on assets, 10.33. So they can support what they're doing. I don't think that this dividend is really in danger. I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to be fine. So I think it's a half decent. I do think it is a half decent choice. I'm missing something here. I'm missing the comments. There we go. All my comments had just disappeared. I got them back. So yeah, I would say that, you're probably okay with them. It's not the best income choice, but I would definitely love to see some more movement in them. But I do like their fundamentals. They're low debt. I think they're a good company. They're a good company for, of course, a penny adjacent stock. I won't call them a penny stock only because, they're a little bit over. But as any stock this small, I always say, pay attention. You never know what's going to happen with it. Prairie says, I'm first generation Canadian. When my parent immigrated, they had someone here sponsoring them, had to be employable, had to have somewhere to live, no government handouts. Yeah, that's the way, that's the way it used to. Like, if you ever look at the United States, and if you were to look at the requirements to get a green card, those are the things that make sense. That's like, because then, and here's where I would waive it. I would waive it for something. So, for example, maybe you don't have everything that, that we need, but you have a skill that we need. In those cases there, yeah, let's, if you're a doctor and you don't really have enough to support yourself right now, it's like, fine, come on over. First of all, let's get them certified so that they can practice medicine here and not, I've seen situations where we've had immigrants who were doctors in their countries, very smart people, and they end up working in call centers or they end up working in fast food because they're like they don't have the money to go through some of the retraining they want to put them through. So I think that needs to be fast tracked. In fact, I would even be inclined to say, look, we'll pay for it. Our government will pay for it, but here's the deal. We'll pay for it, but you have to go and spend, let's say, 5 years at this location. So that way we get some doctors where we need them the most. I think that would be a great deal. And I think a lot of people immigrating, it's like, okay, let's see. They train me. I have to go work over there, or I can go work at McDonald's. Hard choice, huh? Hard choice. Obviously, I think most of them would take the training and would take the deal. I think it would be a good deal. Let's see. Prairie says they immigrated from Europe back in the 50s. Okay, fair enough. My ancestors came from Ireland back in the days when there was a potato famine, but that's a while back. So let's see. Vic said Assad hanging out in Moscow now. Yeah, I heard that. Well, it's probably the safest place for him at the moment. John says, thoughts on JEPI and JEPQ now on TSX, and as a person in the late 40s, how much would you allocate your portfolio for high yield dividend ETF? I'm thinking no more than 5%. Conflicted if I should add. Okay. Let's take a look here. First of all, we'll go to JP. All right. So this is your JP Morgan. See, I'm so used to JP from the US, the JP Morgan version, but now it is in Canada. Love it. I love it. We're not going to have a lot of data here, other than we're going to have, of course, here it is. So you get a nice half decent healthy yield, 6.30%. It's a monthly dividend, so that's fantastic. And if we take a look at the 3-year, well, we're not going to see much. It's brand new, as we don't have a lot of data, but here's the thing. It's being run very similar to, if we go to JP, all right, we go to the US version. This is a very similar, like, with this one here, they have a 7%. So not that different, not that far off, not that far off. And you kind of look now, yes, they are doing different things, but you can sort of see you've got the similar thing. So basically you're getting your income. Now, when you look at this, guys, over the 3-year, remember this here was a bear market right here. So that's fine. You can forgive them for that. If we go out even further, you can sort of see they started down here. They were developing well, bear market. Now we're in a bull market heading back up. So that to me is fine. So yeah, I do like these. Like when you look at HYLD, as far as I know, I think they are actually holding this one. So, we're talking JEPI and JEPQ. Let's go to JEPQ. All right, so JEPQ, this is their NASDAQ. Now, keep in mind, these are going to be pretty much the same ETFs. In this case here, we're looking at the NASDAQ. I love the NASDAQ. And I think, as I mentioned before, I think AI is not even close to being done. Like, here's what this has done since launch. Like, look at this. $25 to $27. So it's doing fantastic. Absolutely. I like it. I like it. And I wouldn't even consider these to be sort of those unreasonable level of, in this case here, yeah, look at this. Oh, well, this one's giving you 14% distribution. So that's kind of fun. That's kind of fun there. So I don't know. One thing I don't know is I don't know what level of, if they're doing covered calls or what level of covered calls. I'm thinking there probably are. But yeah, no, I do like both of them. I've liked the US versions. So that's going to extend to the TSX for me. Only because, like I said, we don't have enough data in Canada for both of these, but we do have the data in the US, and they have done fantastic in the US, and I do like them both. So when you're talking about high yield and 5%, it really boils down to what your goals are. So one of the things that I will look at is in a bull market, right? When you look, and let me give you let's actually go to, in this case here, we're going to go to JEPQ again, but I want to use the US one because we got the data. All right. So when you look at, let's come out to the 3 years, when you look at it doing stuff like this, all right. So when we're in a bull market, we get this insane growth. Like it's gone from 41 to 57. In addition to that, of course, you are also getting that nice 9.443% yield. So you can, depending on how much time you want to spend, but you can be more strategic. So in a, when I am getting a good growth on a dividend ETF, that's more of an income ETF in normal markets, but I'm getting good growth, I have no problem riding that up. And so in a situation like this, 5%, I would go higher. I would. Now that, and keep in mind, and I have a conservative risk level, so I would. But here's the caveat: when the market turns and we start to head, when we start to head down, and it looks like we're heading into a bear market, then I start reevaluating and I start pulling back, and I'm looking for maybe some more defensive stocks at that point. But for now, I think there's nothing wrong with this at all. I mean, look at this. This is doing great. This is doing fantastic. I may need to add the Canadian one to the challenge, to be honest. I'm liking the looks of it. I'm liking the looks of it big time. All right. Redwater says Trump is using tariffs as a bargaining chip. You are 1,000,000,000% right, Redwater. It's not about the tariffs. It's about the border. That's what it's about. That's the whole thing. He's looking at he's looking at that border. He's looking at the drugs that are coming through. He's looking at the migrants. There are a lot. Like there's been, I've even heard of stories where there have been migrants from Mexico flying up to Canada because it's easier to get down through that one. So definitely something to keep in mind. Um, I think right now, I think Trudeau is taking him seriously. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Don't screw this up, Trudeau. Don't screw this up. Um, otherwise, as you guys saw with that modeling, we can't have him screw it up. And the fact that Trudeau made that impromptu trip down to Mar-a-Lago, I think he's taking it very seriously. So that's a good thing. That is a good thing. It's not like we want to go through a big amount of pain while we wait for the next government. Let's just get this right from the start. And honestly, I don't think the Liberals have a chance in any any definition of the word to win that next election. But if he gets this right and gets these tariffs off the table, he will win some votes. He will win some votes. No, it won't even be close. It'll still be probably a conservative majority, but he will win some votes. Maybe it might even translate into a couple of seats. And that's fine. I'm okay with that. Just don't screw it up, Trudeau. Do not screw it up. If you're watching this, Trudeau, don't screw it up. Don't screw it up. All right. I doubt he's watching, but you never know. You never know. Jay says, so far, TELUS Corp and WYGOG seems promising DCA for now. All right. So WYGOG, that's their, what's that? That's the Purpose Google yield. And of course, TELUS. Let's take a look at TELUS. We haven't looked at TELUS in a bit. All right. We'll pull them up. Whoops. That's not TELUS. That's thank you. Actually, Tricontinental Corporation, but TY. That's funny. I'm just going to type in TELUS all the way here. Even though I threw an extra Y in it. That's fine. We're doing good here. All right. Now, this is one of these interesting things here. Now, as you can see, they have suffered. The communication sector has suffered big time. I am expecting them to turn around, though. As we continue to get more rate cuts, it was going to help them. Because you will notice, and I'll show you, all of these telecommunication sector have one big thing in common. So right now, they have a lot of debt. So in the case of TELUS, we're looking at 183% debt to equity ratio. Oh, this isn't fun. TELUS slipped into a negative 2.26% return on equity. That means they're currently not profitable. So they're definitely struggling a little bit, but they will bounce back. As we continue to get these rate cuts, as they filter into the system, because it takes a while to filter in, that's going to really help bring down the servicing on that, which will free up some cash and get some stuff moving. But one of the big problems in the Canadian telecommunication sector is, where do you expand to? There's no place to go. It's pretty saturated between the three of them. So that's going to be a bit of an issue. Now, that's one of the reasons that Bell, that's the reason they bought into that telecommunication company down there on the US West Coast, because they're looking to expand. They're like, okay, there's no room to expand up here. Let's expand into the United States. There's tons of room there. And yeah, absolutely. But up here, we don't have a lot of room. Now with TELUS, they've got, of course, TELUS Health and a few other things going on. TELUS International, all of that stuff is good. Now, TELUS International, it is its own ticker. TELUS Health, as far as I know, does still fall under the normal TELUS umbrella. But I would double check on that one, because I have not looked at that. That's an assumption. I'm assuming that. All right, 9. Whoopsie. Where is my... There's my mouse. There's my mouse. My mouse went for a walkabout. 9 says I hold US JEPI and JEPQ in the RRSP. Nice. Yeah, absolutely. Because with the dividends on those, you don't want to be paying withholding tax. So the RRSP is a perfect place for them. John says, thank you very much for looking at those and advise. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for. Michael says, many thanks for your comments on Amerigo. You're welcome. You are welcome. Verena is in the house with a hi, everyone. Let's see. I love it. Comment of the day, folks. We can thank Candace for her great advice by hitting the like button. There you go. Mary's on a roll today, guys. You got to hit that like button for sure. There's like 54 of you in here right now. I don't know how many likes we have. But we should have 54. We should have 54. That's what I say. Or now 55. Oh, that is so good. So good. All right. Okay. Now we've gotten through the news. I love it. Um, I want to talk a bit more about so yeah. There's one thing I want to hit on before we get into anything else. Channel members. We have an exclusive channel member live stream coming up on Thursday night. So I did put a post out on the community channel. So if you guys want to just jump over to the community channel, throw me some ideas for what you want. I'm going to get a poll up with or without ideas, because what happens is, guys, if you guys give me no ideas, I just go back through the old ideas and look for ones that we haven't done yet, and then I fill them out that way. But yeah, if you have any ideas, definitely go to the community tab, drop them in so that I can get that finalized for you guys, because we want to get a vote going. I'd like to see a vote going by tomorrow for the Thursday night, because I need at least a tiny bit of time to prepare whatever material I'm going to bring to that live stream. So that's going to be fun, of course. The other thing, guys, as you know, I like to have a topic for each of those financial blogmas for that financial blogmas event. So if you guys have something you want me to cover for that, just throw it into a comment. Even if you throw it on the comment on here on this stream, just say, hey, Candace, could you cover XXX in the financial blogmas or something like that? I'm always looking for ideas. I keep finding them. So it's not too shabby. Like, I'll come up with the ideas no matter what, but I always like to give you guys that opportunity to get your voices heard, because sometimes you guys come up with really good ideas, sort of like I mentioned earlier, the beaver Trump on a mug. I'm thinking this is great. Definitely he would be popular. I don't know if the Tiff Macklem one would be popular on a mug, but we got a lot of beaver stuff. But I'm going to come up. We'll figure out a whole bunch of stuff that we can do for that. Anchor Tours. Do you think it would be wise to hold some investment in ETFs like cash to wait for buying opportunities in the next turn down? Yes, 100%. Let's use Warren Buffett as an example. So what Warren Buffett is doing, and you hear people talk about it. Oh my God, Warren Buffett is selling stuff. Warren Buffett has more money in cash than ever. Well, yeah, that's what you do in a bull market. In a bull market, when things are going up and things are at all-time highs over and over again, you're taking profits off the table. You're putting it into some of your cash positions. So your cash positions should be increasing during the bull market. Because when we turn the corner and head into the bear market, you want to have the cash. You want to have the cash to be able to buy some of the great deals. So ideally, at the peak of the bull market, your cash is going up. By the time you get to the turnaround in the bull market and the bear market, after we've gone into the bear market and we're starting to climb out of it, you should have ideally you should have ideally bought so many deals that you've got a very small cash position. And then you go into the bull market again, and guess what you do? You start building it up. You don't have to, it's not like you have to sell everything and say, I'm going to put everything in cash. No, nothing like that. You're going to hold your high conviction stocks. But, let's say, for example, you have that one stock that just explodes. Nothing wrong pulling a little profit off of that. Or even, I know some people who are like, you know what I do? I just, I let my high conviction stocks I leave them alone, but I take all the dividends I make through the bull market and I just put that into my cash position. Hey, that's a wonderful idea. There's a lot of ways that you can do it. And you'll see in the challenge right now, pretty much every month I add another share of cash as I just keep on adding it up. And if I get to 1 month where there just isn't enough deals, maybe I'll add 2, maybe I'll add 3. We'll have to see. But that's what I've been doing. So just something to keep in mind, because I'll tell you, the last bear market, one of the things I heard from a lot of people in the chat in the chat on This Week, and um, is that they were like, "Oh man, there's so many great sales. I just don't have any cash." That's probably because they weren't preparing for that bear market. So yes, it is absolutely not a bad idea. Now, just don't overshort yourself, or don't like sell everything. But you could start building a small cash position and building it up as you move. Uh, excuse me, through the rest of the bear market, or the bull market, the bull market. All right, a 9 says hit the like button. Oh, you guys are getting double teamed from Mary and 9. So nothing too shabby about that. All right, Ian says, about selling in my non-registered account to fund my TFSA. If I sell something at a profit and rebuy it in the TFSA, will I pay capital gains? Probably yes. Yeah, the capital gains, yeah, no, there's no way around that. If you sell it, you're paying capital gains. It doesn't matter what happens to that money after that. But if you sell it for a capital loss, you can apply that against the capital gains, provided when you rebuy it, you don't rebuy the same stock within 30 days. So, you could. Here's a great idea. So let's say, for example, you decide to sell some of your TD stock because it's sunk, it's at a loss, it's TD, holy banana bread. It's like, hey, anybody want some money laundering underneath their jacket? It's bad. But you could sell TD. And let's say you want to buy them back because you feel, okay, they're going to be great on the other side, and they probably will. What you could do is you could sell them at a loss, use that loss against other gains, move that cash into your TFSA. Well, at least if you have the space for it, put it into a cash ETF for 30 days, for a month. Then you're at least getting, you're going to get the dividends on that. And then after that month is over, you would sell it and then buy your TD then. And then you're perfectly fine. So at least that way there, you got a little bit of something. So that's one option you could do for sure. Or you could just buy a different bank. You got a couple different options. Or you could buy something completely different, like maybe one of those JEPIs or a JEPQ. So that's not too shabby. Boda says, have you looked at HODL? I've looked at them. I haven't looked at them in probably about a month, but let's pull them up right now. All right, so here we go. So this is your Sol Strategies. Now they've been doing well with crypto. Crypto has been exploding, and this is kind of fantastic. If you look at this, that's the 3-year. Let's not do the 3-year. Let's just do the 3-month. You can see they've gone from being a penny stock up to like almost $3. They're doing really, really good. Now, if you take a look here, I don't know if it'll actually give us much information on it down here, but they're invested. I mean, they have some good amount of crypto involved in it. So right now, anything investing in crypto, anything holding crypto on the balance sheet, that type of thing, they're doing fantastic. HODL is absolutely doing well right now. Mind you, though, the only concerns I have is when we do move into a crypto winter. It's going to happen. Now, I don't think it's going to happen like tomorrow. I don't think it's going to happen in 2024. I'm kind of thinking that we're probably not going to see a crypto winter until I'm thinking the summer. Sort of like the opposite of winter, but I think the summer might be a possibility. Now, I've heard other people think that we're going to get through 2025 unscathed when it comes to crypto, and maybe there is a lot of stuff happening. There is a lot of, in a sense, when it comes to crypto, you could consider the Trump administration as a black swan event. Because you've got a new pro-crypto government coming in. How is that going to translate? One of the goals of Trump's establishment is that they want the United States to be the #1 leader in crypto in the world. So all of these things are going to be, we've watched, like, anybody who's watched crypto for a long time, we have watched all the normal ebbs and flows. And there's very distinct patterns. There's very distinct patterns with Bitcoin and the rest of crypto. But we'll stick to Bitcoin for the moment. And we're heading into a situation where, you know, you can actually say this time it is different because it absolutely is. We've got a lot of things. We've got a pro crypto government coming into the biggest economy in the world. We have we've got institutional investment through the spot ETFs that started. So that's another factor. Now, put those two together. Let's throw a couple of scenarios at you. What if Trump decides to put crypto on their treasure in the treasury? What if that gets added to the United States balance sheet? Holy banana bread, that could be good. What will that do to institutional investors, those who have not yet moved over to crypto? A lot of people might start looking at it. A lot of institution might start looking at it and say, well, if the government's holding it, maybe we should put a 5% allocation into it. And if you get a lot of institutional investors all of a sudden adding 5% exposure to crypto, to Bitcoin in particular, boy, I predicted 120 as the top. I will be very, very wrong if that happens, because that top may very well go higher. It may absolutely go higher. So, we'll just have to sort of take it from there. We'll have to take it from there. All right. All right. Ian says, sadly, I'm up on everything in my non-registered account. No tax loss harvesting. This is interesting, Ian, because I know I was talking actually on the episode 1 of the Financial Blogmas, we're talking about the Santa Claus rally. And one of the folks in there, I'm trying to remember who it was. His mind is slipping my head at the moment, but he said maybe we won't have a rally because nobody's got anything to sell. And the reason that would be a point is that the Santa Claus rally, it's usually created because the beginning part of the month, we get all the tax loss harvesting that drives things down. So it makes it almost impossible for things not to bounce up in the last part of the month when the Santa Claus rally would happen. So the Santa Claus rally begins on the 24th, and it goes until the first trading day in January. So that's the frame that we measure for the Santa Claus rally. Now, be that nobody has, let's say, because everything's up so much that nobody has anything red. Let's say nobody has any. Well, I still think the market's going to go up. So I think we'll still get a Santa Claus rally. It may not be a very strong rally, but I think it'll still be a rally. I think we're still going to see movement to the plus side as we move through the month. Like, I am fully anticipating a green December. And I'm also anticipating a green January. I'll throw that out, even though we're not even close to January, because I think as we get closer to the inauguration, there's going to be a lot of excitement. And I think the market is going to be very excited. So I think we'll see a pretty strong January. Now, the big thing is, and this is kind of that thing, after January, when you start to analyze further ahead, how much of a honeymoon period will the new government have before, everybody starts to come back down a little bit. And maybe that does cause us to retreat. When we might get a red month, like February, maybe, or March might be a red month, but I'm going to play it. I'll reevaluate it. I actually have to make at the end of this year, I have to make my prediction video. So I have to really start looking ahead. But yeah, that's going to be fun. We have a lot of fun planned for the end of the year. Just for those of you who don't know, we have a Christmas Day live stream. So it normally takes place in the morning, usually on for an hour or so. And then we have a New Year's Eve live stream. Now, I'm not going to stay up until the midnights of North America. What we did last year is we picked a time zone, and we celebrated their New Year's. We'll do the same thing this year. We'll probably pick a time zone like in I don't know where. We'll figure it out. But it's going to be a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun. We even did a countdown last year. This year, though, we have the bell, right? We could probably use the bell for that. So it's going to be fun. I can't wait. I can't wait. Ian says, I'm trying to decide sell in my non-registered account to fund my TFSA or wait for dividends from the non-registered account to fund it. Would take at least 6 months. Okay. Yeah. That's a thing, right? Because you're going to generate taxes, obviously, if you here's an interesting thought. Okay, here's an interesting thought. If you have room in your RRSP, if you wanted to take, so let's say, for example, you had stock A and you said, okay, well, I will sell it and take the capital gains. The capital gains is on 50% of that. You could conceivably take a bit more to try to and move that to the RRSP to try to sort of counteract the amount that you're paying in capital gains. That's just a thought. If you have the space in your RRSP, that could be something you could do. It'd be a little bit of a mathematical loophole to sort of work your way through, but it could be interesting. It could be interesting. Prairie says, in the last 0 to 100K, you hinted that you may be moving out of cash to something else. Any hint to what? Well, I haven't done it yet. I'm looking. I have to sort of look around a little bit and see which one I'm going to move to. But for now, it hasn't happened yet. And I haven't decided yet on which one. But before the next video, I'll definitely know for sure. I'll probably have done it by the next video. All right. Ian says, thinking about selling some POW to fund the TFSA. It's done good for me, but the dividend is low now. Sell 5K worth at a 37% gain. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. By getting it into your TFSA, you're going to be able to, you'll be able to experience growth on whatever you're going to purchase, or dividends, all of that fun stuff. So, I mean, it works. It really boils down to, though, you got to look at your taxes and you got to look and see, like maybe you're in a situation like, if you look at your tax brackets, maybe 5,000 is in one tax bracket, but the other 2,000 might be in the next tax bracket. In that case, you may want to only take 5,000 and then, let your dividends do the rest of it for you through the year. That's an option as well. Just something to keep in mind. All right. Oh gosh, that's so good. All right. Now, oops. That's why things were looking weird. I had my my screen over a bit too far. I try to keep the chat right next to the camera, so that way there I'm making eye contact with the camera, but I had it all over on the side. I'm like, wait a minute. No. Let's see. Boda says, looking to diversify my portfolio from options trading. So SPY, QQQ, Dow. What are your Canadian favorite ETFs for these? So one of my favorites is I'll show you right now. I'll show you a couple. So QQ, I'm going to do two versions here. We're going to go to CC first. So this here is the Global X NASDAQ 100 covered call. So this, of course, is they're investing in the NASDAQ 100. Just pull up their 5-year. You can sort of see that they have been doing fantastic. Now, in this movement right here, this is when they used to be something else. They changed their format here, sort of like, I guess, like a radio station changing formats, maybe. And this has been their ride on the tech side. They've been doing really, really, really good. They have a almost 10% dividend yield, so 9.78. So as tech does well, they've been doing well both with the growth. You're getting a really good dividend. Now, if you're a little more risky, there's another version of it that just came out. It's called QQCL. And this one here, it's still the exact same. It's the exact same ETF, but it also uses a little bit of leverage. So we'll pull up their 6 months here. Let's go with 1 year here. Yeah, here we go. They've been around for a year now. Holy banana bread. But they've been doing fantastic as well. So they've gone from 20 to 25. Now, because they're using leverage, you're getting a higher dividend. You'll find the growth is pretty much similar, but you get that extra growth in here. So 11.802%. And that's fantastic. So you'll find Most of these Global X ones will have both a covered call and a covered call, covered call leverage. So like ENCC, you'll see here, this here is their oil and gas one. And if you go ENCL, exact same one, but it uses leverage. So I do like a lot of the Global X ones. They're definitely pretty good because you got that whole extra bit in there as well. So just something to keep in mind. Just something to keep in mind. So there's definitely a lot of them there for you to sort of look at. Yoda. Are we talking about Jedi Master Yoda, or is there an actual stock with a Yoda? If there's a stock, if there is a Yoda stock, okay, good. There's not. If there was a Yoda stock, I might just buy it, just even one share, just to say I got Yoda in my portfolio. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, JJ. Yeah, here we go. So there's a Russell one as well. RSCC. All right, let's take a look at this one. I have not looked at this one yet. So this is where JJ has just proven his worth. He's just proven his worth here. So here we go. So once again, the Global X, and this is your Russell 2000. So, you know, these are your smaller stocks. I'm just going to go with the 6 month. You can see here, it did open at 19, pretty much 20, and it's up to 2051. And let's see here. I don't even know yet what their dividend is yet. They haven't been around long enough. Let's just see here. If I go in here, we'll see if they've declared it yet or not. Yeah, they've declared 21-cent dividend that's coming out here on December 6th. So it should have already dropped. It should have already dropped. But yeah, not too shabby. And once again, RSCL. Oh, and before we go there, let me just take a look. What was that? 21 cents? So the RSCL version. I thought you said we had one of those as well. Maybe there's only the covered call one. So they haven't done an L version yet, but they probably will. They probably will. When they do, then you're going to get like a 21 cent here. You'll probably end up getting like 25 or 26. So that's not too shabby. JJ says, I'd be more interested in dipping in if they had eventually released an enhanced version. Yeah, exactly. Larry says, doing a deep dive into energy shipping companies, listening to multiple earnings calls from each, the natural gas ship surplus is tanking the entire market, even ships that don't ship natural gas. Yeah. I've heard of that. Yeah, right now we've got a lot of surplus, natural gas, also oil. Hopefully winter gets really bad. What I mean that in a nice way, as in that there's it gets bad that there's a higher demand for natural gas and oil. Let's sort of filter out this, especially when we get to Trump, because I know Trump right now, he's, drill baby drill. And up here in Canada, we've got Alberta that wants to double up all of their export lines down to the US. So they want to do something called twinning. It's going to be interesting. All right, Peter wants to know, what's your thoughts on Zegro.T fixed percentage distribution for the long term in a TFSA? I do like, so Zegro, it's basically, let's go in here. Basically, they're looking at growth stocks for the most part here. So it's your BMO growth ETF. So I like it. I do like it. I'm not usually a fan of bank stocks. Usually not, except for the BMO. I do like the BMO ones. I do find them well managed. But look at this. I mean, you can't argue with this. 38 to 47. That's really good. I mean, this is going to be mostly growth. Like if you come down here, you'll see their dividend is a quarterly dividend, 1.867%. So it's not going to be much. You're still getting a good total return though. And these are, to me, that's fantastic. So yeah, if you're holding this in your TFSA, that's not a bad place for it. This is though, guys, if you ever are looking for a good stock to hold in a non-registered, this would also be, I would say, a really good candidate for that. Now, mind you, you should not be doing that if your TFSA is not full. But if you're ever looking for stocks when your TFSA is full to hold in a non-registered, something like this is great because it's got low dividends, so you're not going to have a lot of taxes on those. I mean, they're still going to get taxed, but you don't have as much to get taxed. And then this one here, it's just going to continue to grow. The only time you'll ever have to really deal with any serious taxes is when you sell, of course. But you can always use tax loss harvesting to try to mitigate that if you get to a point that you want to sell. John Locke says, I've been trying to find a good Dow and Russell ETF non-CC, but haven't found one yet. Ooh. I thought, for some reason, I thought there was a Vanguard one, but maybe I'm wrong. Vanguard, Russell. All right, yeah, here we go. Here's the Vanguard Russell 1000 Growth Index Fund. Now, it is pricey to get into, but I imagine that Wealthsimple probably has it on fractional. Yeah, and here it is. So this one here, you're not going to get you get almost no dividends because it's all a growth. But this is not bad. This is not a bad one. I do like Vanguard, but that's their Russell 1000 Growth Index Fund. So maybe that's one to take a look at. It is non-covered call. It is just straight growth. Straight growth 24/7 per se. Larry says, apparently pipeline terminals are bringing in all the money now, with the natural gas shipping market having too many ships until 2027 because of those delays Biden started this February in approvals. Yeah, right now, like you take Canada, like we do not. I think we have one that's being worked on, but most of our natural gas, if we want to ship it out, we pretty much have to send it. We pretty much have to send it to the down to the United States and use one of those ones. So yeah, just not something not something I like. Like I really think that we should have our own processing plants and more shipping plants. And I believe, at least from what I've heard, I believe the conservative government is thinking in that direction. It would be good to see that. It definitely would. Tony says, let's see here. Where do you stand on YTSL? I believe their dividend is going to bump back up to 40 cents. So this is the Purpose Tesla. So YTSL. I have made money off of this one. I have swung it more than once. I have swung trade. I've done some swing trades on this one a few times. So when Tesla is doing well, as you can see, this here, this is the latest amount on Tesla where Tesla's been doing well. It works out really good for this ETF. Now, I think Tesla is in a point right now where they're going to be doing well, I think, for a while. So I think that's going to be nice for this ETF. Now, mind you, it is covered call. So you are looking at, and let's see here. No, let's go to the right one. All right, here we go. All right, there we go. This is better. This is better. All right. Or maybe not. Maybe not. They have a whole bunch of these. Let me just see here. YTSL. Always fun. All right. And no, that's not it either. It's always the last one, isn't it? All right. There we go. I should know better. But that's fine. That's fine. All right. Yeah, this is what I'm looking for. This makes a lot more sense. All right. So as Tesla's doing better, they do well. Now, I still don't have their dividend information here. That's fine. But let's go over here to the key data. I have them down here. So yeah, they have been at 30 cents and you said right now they haven't declared the 40 cents yet. It would be nice if it went up to 40 cents. Now I noticed they initially had 40 cents back in February of 26. So that is a possibility. Once they declare it, that would be kind of cool. Now they have not yet declared the one for January. So maybe that's going to happen. I hope so. I've played these guys a few times, especially around around earnings calls. Like if I do some research and I get a good feeling on an earnings call when it comes to Tesla, I'll usually dump a little bit of money into this. And then I'm pulling it out the next day. But But what can I say? What can I say? But yeah, no, I do like YTSL. I think I think Tesla is going to be strong for a while. And keep in mind too, even when well, I guess one of the things I guess I want you to keep in mind too is when Tesla does explode, you are going to lose some of your upside potential on this one because of covered calls, strike prices being hit, all of that fun stuff. But I do like YTSL. I think that it's going to be a better option, probably for a bit. Now, one danger would be if Trump gets bored. If Trump gets bored of Elon Musk, as silly as it sounds, that might impact the price a little bit. But right now, everything looks full speed ahead on that. All right. Nine says, let's see, I was able to get out of BMO in my TFSA at a capital gain. Yeah, I remember you mentioning that. That was fantastic. Sorry, I was hoping you would review the fixed percentage distribution version of ZGrow. It pays monthly and is about 3 years old. All right, let me just take a look here. ZGrow. All right. Oh, this one here, the T. Sorry, I grabbed the wrong one. All right, cool. Let's so once again, I mean, we're still at a point where this is absolutely exploding in value. Makes sense. It's got a lot of growth into it. Now, in this case here, yeah, you got a monthly and you are getting a higher distribution. You're getting like a 5.162. That's not too shabby. I mean, I still like this one as well. BMO, they've always been really good with their ETFs. I find they have a really good management team. And some people don't like BMO ETFs as much as I think I do, but yeah, no, this is fine. This is fine. Now we're not going to get much in the key data on this simply because it is an ETF, but we do get, and this here is fantastic. We do get a return on equity of 21.82%. That's fantastic for an ETF. Yeah, I've no problems with this. Looking at their dividend history, you can see that, in the last 10 dividend payments, they've gone from 15 cents up to 16. So that's not too shabby either. Yeah, and keep in mind, I mean, even though, both ZGrows, they're pretty much the same thing, just kind of in different packagings. They're fine. I think they're fine, Peter. Let's see here. Excuse me. I'm still that the last little tickle is still there from that friggin' flu. I don't know. This Marquis says, I've seen some Tesla trucks on the road. Oh my God, are they ever funny looking? I know. And I saw something the other day. I didn't have a chance to dig into it. I saw a Tesla motorhome that looked kind of odd, but I don't know if it was actually Tesla or somebody just making fun of Tesla. I'd have to look into that, but it intrigued me, but I was kind of busy at the time. So, Boda says, best to hold true Tesla. Everything is being green lighted under Trump. Big growth coming next few weeks for sure. Yeah, I actually did a video. I did a video where I compared TSLA versus YTSL, and the yield max in the US. I compared the three of them. In that time frame that I did that, Tesla actually came in with the highest total return out of the three. Considering Tesla has no dividends, that I thought was kind of interesting. Now, mind you, that was in a non-bear. That was not in a bull market. I think I did that during the bear market. Be interesting to try that again right now. Now, if you, and I will put this in, if you reinvest all of the dividends from like TSLY or YTSL, you can potentially get a little bit closer to Tesla because you've got that compounding growth as you're putting it back in. So that does bring you a lot closer. But yeah, Tesla did win that one time I did it. Tom says, I'm curious why you don't like higher dividends in a non-registered account. Higher taxes, but higher income, right? I think part of it is when I'm looking at a high dividend account, I always look at it this way. when you have higher dividends and a TFSA, that's pretty much straight income, especially if you're in that point when you're actually pulling it out. Because some people will be doing that, whether they're using it for a supplement to their income. So, what I like about having lower dividends in a non registered account is that, yeah, you are less taxes, obviously. That makes a big thing. And also, a lot of the lower dividend stocks, a lot of them have that big growth component. So you can grow these stocks outside of your TFSA, and you then have full control over when or if you're going to take capital gains from it. And you also have that mechanism of tax loss harvesting as well to mitigate those if you need to. That's kind of the biggest reasons for that. Also, I like to try to keep them a little bit simple. So, for example, if I'm holding something outside of my TFSA, if I want to have something that has smaller dividends, there's a good chance I can find a good Canadian company that their dividends are 100% Canadian eligible dividends. So then I get tax credits on those dividends as well. Whereas if I'm holding, let's say something like HYLD, I've got capital gains, I've got return of capital in there, I've got foreign income. It just messes up I don't mind messy tax returns, but it messes them up more than you need to. And for some people, they like to have them nice and neat in a nice little package. Let's see. JJ says, Tom, I do it because of my limited contribution space. And I'm still wary of my RRSP, mostly because I don't even know if I'll stay in Canada for the long run. Oh, fair enough. Jonathan says, there was a Cybertruck rolling through the holiday parade of lights. Ooh, interesting. Interesting. Whoops. Things were moving a bit too fast there. JJ says TSLY and much of the other Yield Max holdings have changed their option strategy since 904 to allow credit call spreads for more upside capture. Are you familiar with these spreads, Candace? I haven't looked at them in a while since they've made any of the changes. I have to look a bit deeper. Now, the nice thing is, now the kitten's over there clawing things. The nice thing is, I do have to look at Misty a bit more for the next deep dive because we're doing the subscriber sponsored video. Paul has requested a MicroStrategy and he wants a little bit of that MSTY in there as well. So it's almost like we're doing 2 for 1 in it's mostly going to be that's mostly going to be MicroStrategy, but Misty will definitely come into play as well. Excuse me. Let's see, Tom. I also put 12K on margin, all in on YMAX and YMAG so far. Hence, why you saw the yield on cost of 25% on the PII Facebook group when I showed my holdings. Okay. Let's see here. Planning on adding more tomorrow. Friday was distribution day for a big chunk of my holdings, so buying more tomorrow. Awesome, awesome. All right, guys, we're almost at 2 hours, so. If you got your last minute questions, get them in. That doesn't mean that we're leaving right away. As I said, actually, in the last deep dive, in the last on the market close that we did on Friday, I gave the last minute questions, and we were still going an hour later. That's just the way it rolls. That's the way it rolls. All right. JJ says I haven't bought more Misty. They're sitting at $36.50 right now. My adjusted cost base was $28. Yeah, now I did add Misty to the challenge. It absolutely it exploded pretty well in the challenge. I do like that. What was my adjusted cost base? Give me a second. Let me pull that up. I'm kind of curious here to know what adjusted cost base I got on that. All right. Here we go. 38.15. Now that's converted to Canadian though. So 38.15 Canadian. Because I got it all set up in my TF in my thing. Because basically to do the challenge, I need everything in the same currency. So yeah, I had 38.15 adjusted cost base. Last time I updated the price, it was around 47.64 Canadian. So it's sitting like at about a 40% return on investment because I had dividends come in as well. Yeah, what can I say? Tom says I'm at 31.50 on MSTY. That's what I need to do. I probably need to add another column that I can put the US price in for those as well, other than just the adjusted cost. Let's see. Anchor Tours says, when we finally have a change of government here in Canada, what sectors are likely to see a rebound in the Canadian markets? Energy. Energy would definitely be one that could see some positivity from the new government. But outside of that, I really, hello, kitty, what are you doing? Guys, the kitten is just being a banana bread head over there. But so yeah, energy I think is probably a no-brainer, but I want to see the platform. I'd like to see the full platform before I can really get a good feel for what other things are going to do well. Energy I think definitely would be one, and perhaps not just regular energy, but also I think minerals. I think those will also do well as for sure. And yeah, so yeah, exactly. Energy saying I expect or sorry, Anchor saying I expect energy for sure. Yeah, and especially if Alberta is able to pull off these extra pipelines going down to the US before Trump gets in, that could definitely bode well for Canada as well. That's, that's technically not from our new government, but from a current government, but it could be interesting. John says, glad my day freed up so I could catch this live stream. Missed a lot of Sundays over the past few months. I know, I know. I always miss John. If John's not here, I'm like, where's John? Bismarcky says, I've noticed some split funds have maturity dates. Do these get rolled over? Do I need to worry about this? Typically, yes. I can't recall. I don't have a recent memory of any of them not getting rolled over. They pretty much usually do. So I usually don't worry too much about it. But, you know, I mean, if you're always concerned, you can always, if you're at a good place, entry exit point, you could always exit and, buy back in later if you're really concerned. But to date, I don't have any, I don't have even a single example of them not. I'm sure there's probably one out there, but I've never run into it. JJ's thinking the banks and the utilities. Well, the utilities are going to do well anyway, because of the rate cuts. So the rate cuts are really good for the utilities, and we've already seen this. Telecoms, they will benefit, but they're not going to benefit as fast as like utilities, REITs, things like that. They're going to be more of a slow burn. All right, JJ says, usually they always do unless they suffer from super low market prices or volume. Otherwise, they just roll over and have a new 5-year renewal date. Yeah, exactly. And like I said, I can't think of a single one that has ever gone has gone under or, belly up or whatever we want to call it. I've never run into it. JJ says, I'm just listing all the sectors that will do well regardless of changes or not. Yeah, okay, fair enough, fair enough. It'll be interesting too, but keep in mind, depending on when the election is too, that might change the answer. So if we get the vote in non-confidence and we have a spring election, that's going to be a different scenario. We're still going to have a strong economy. Opposed to if it's a fall election, like if Trudeau manages to avoid every vote of confidence between now and the fall, we could be in a situation where the economy has weakened to the point that we could be looking at moving towards a recession at that point. If that's the case, that does change the answer. So even though Poilievre might will get elected, he'll be inheriting an economy on the slide at that point. So, you might look at it and say, none of the sectors are doing super well. And that might be the case. But that wouldn't be his fault. That would basically, there's a lot of factors. You can certainly blame the current government. You can certainly blame the economy. You could just blame the world conditions. There's everything you can blame. Most people will blame the current government, though, for sure. So that's cool. That's cool. All right. Oh, guys. I still got coffee, so I'm always happy when I still have coffee. All right. want to show you guys a couple of things here. Let us get over to the schedule here for a moment. All right, so coming up, coming up this week, Tuesday we are dropping the bank review. I do a bank summary every single quarter, so the bank summary will be dropping on Tuesday. If you're a channel member, though, you get to see it one day early. Channel members see all videos a day early, so that is coming out on Tuesday. And then, of course, on Friday is that big micro strategy video. That's going to be a good one. Absolutely. That is coming out as well. The financial Blogmas, it's continuing every single day up until the 24th of December. So there will be, like I said, there will be some amount of content from me, live content every day, every day. I am still planning to get downtown for one of the days. I'm not sure exactly when, but soon, soon. So we do have that on the horizon. I also want to get maybe a couple more days outside as well. Yeah, they're going to be, like I said, they're going to be kind of crazy. Keep in mind, and this is kind of how I've decided to go ahead with this, is we'll have regular topics on the weekday ones, but on the weekend ones, we're just going to try to be silly. Like today, we talked about coffee. Yesterday, we talked about banana bread. So, what can I say? They were fun. They were fun. So we're going to try to have more fun on the weekend. And even the days that we do have topics, I have to remember that we're trying to marry a blog with sort of a financial theme. So I need to try to remember, like, I got to show behind the scenes stuff, more behind the scenes. So we're going to do that. We're going to continue to do that. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Now, here's the other one I wanted to show you right here. Here it is. December 20th, 7 p.m. Eastern. That's the 5,000 sub celebration video. And I'm calling it Time to Win because one of you guys is going to win an hour of my time. It's going to be fun. It'll be fun. But that is coming up on the 20th. So mark that on your calendars. It is going to be a lot of fun. I still have to write all the questions. So, oh boy, I got a lot of work for that. But I can't wait. All right. Reverend Ramirez says, P.S. Love coffee all the time. I make it at home. I buy at Timmy's. I buy at Starbucks. I buy from local coffee shops. Drip espresso, cappuccino, percolator. No coffee equal no academic degrees, no productivity. It's funny. At first, I felt like we were about to get into a Dr. Seuss kind of rhyming thing for a moment, but I loved it. I loved it. Yeah, coffee is awesome. Absolutely. What's your next buy in the TFSA challenge? It's a good question. It's a good question. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I have to take a look. I have to take a look. I actually am thinking of one of I might actually look at the JEPI or the JEPQ. I think one of those might actually be the new one of the new stocks added this month because I'm pretty excited about them. Probably the Q because I really think things are going to start exploding with AI as we get to, especially at the beginning of the new year. I think we're going to see we might get the Sora release on day 12 of the 12 days of OpenAI. That would be very cool. That would be exciting. But I think we're going to start to see a lot more movement towards agents in early 2025, as well as we could very well see ChatGPT 5 come out then as well. So we'll have to sort of see how that works. I mean, it might be that they might just sort of say, "Oh, by the way, did you guys know that O1 is actually ChatGPT 5?" It could be. I know that it is continually getting better, so we'll have to see. All right. Scott is in the house. MicroStrategy, yes. MSTR. Yeah, Scott. Everyone gets excited. Those of you who know Scott get excited. Scott, at one point, Scott was running a daily live stream in the morning. And it was fun. I was there every day. Because, it was always fun to listen to Scott in the morning. It's, it's fantastic. So good to see you, Scott. Scott, let me ask you this question. Are you coming back? can we expect to see some videos from you or some live streams? That'd be fun. That'd be fun. All right. JJ says, can we talk about tea for the next blog? This tea? Um, like just talk about tea? Maybe we can just bring the topic. Bring the topic, JJ. We'll talk about tea if you want to talk about tea. I'm not a tea drinker, but I used to drink tea a long time ago. All right. Scott the Legend. Absolutely. Between JP and between JP and JPQ and JEPQ is the better buy since it's more correlated with the NASDAQ 100. JEPQI. All right. And guys, we got a super sticker. Fantastic super sticker. Now, you know, I need a new goat, but I have the old goat back. I do have the old goat, so we can use the old goat as John is the goat. Holy banana bread. I do need to get a new graphic. I'm looking to get something new. I had that neat new one over on the Ecamm, but now that I'm back to StreamYard, it's like, at least I got something. Well, anyway, thank you, John. You rock. As always, 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 always. I love John. JP says, JEPI and SP500, not very correlated. All right. Let's see. Scott says, I might do a mission accomplished video. Oh, interesting. Now, I'm trying to remember what your mission is. I don't know what it is, but I would love to see that. You should do it. You should do it, Scott, even if it's just so I can be reminded of what your mission is. Was it a certain value that you were trying to get your investments up to? Is that what it was? That's interesting. That's interesting. Holy banana bread. That would be awesome. That would absolutely be awesome. All right. So guys, once again, we are getting closer to the end. Throw in your questions. Keep them going. Keep them going. If you got them, we'll keep going. But I need some questions. I need coffee actually. Oh, this is fantastic. Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh, and I know somebody was asking about Evolve. I think it was in one of the financial blog misses. So yeah, we're still working. We're still working to get that together. Evolve has provided me with the 3 ETFs that I'll be deep diving for them. So right now I'm just waiting on the contracts and the time frames for those. But the beautiful thing is, guys, I like Evolve ETFs. They're good ETFs. I turned down a lot of people when it came to, or a lot of companies when it came to sponsorship. Evolve just happens to be one that I looked at their products and I'm like, you know what, I can stand behind these. So definitely something I'm looking forward to. It'd be nice to get those out. And they do want to have a longer term relationship with the channel. So we'll probably see more after the first 3, but got the first 3. We're not going to do them like back to back to back. I'm insisting on a certain amount of time between them, but those are going to be fantastic. And one of the things I will ask you guys is when those come out, I'm going to be like, watch those ones for sure. Just to keep Evolve happy at the same time. I think right now we're off to a good start with them. So I'm looking forward to that. Anyway, that's my Evolve update. And, the story, though, is still evolving. See what I did there? We'll leave it there. Correct. Okay. Oh, I can't wait. Now I really want to see that video, Scott. You got to get on it. You got to get on it. Prairie says, an investing coworker is extremely bullish on BCE, averaging down heavily on the premise, even if the dividend is cut, one may still receive 5%. Your thoughts? I'm bullish on BCE. I will be buying. As long as BCE is down, I'm going to be buying probably at least another share every month and popping it in, because I do think on the other side of this, I do think they will rebound, especially once we get a little bit deeper into the rate cuts. and things sort of settle out because, they did have that big purchase, as I mentioned, the telecom that they bought in the US. So I think things are going to be, I think things will be good for BCE. Maybe they'll cut their dividend. I don't know. I would be okay if they did. Now, mind you, if they cut their dividend, that's going to push their price down again, and that's fine by me. I'm looking to average down my position, and I will probably stick with them. For me, I think what I'm going to do is I'll continue buying as long as I am averaging down. Once they rebound above my average, at that point, then I'll start looking to figure out what my exit strategy is going to be on BCE. But I'm looking at them as being more of a swing trade, sort of like, but not quite as lucrative as that Air Canada swing trade that we started that didn't last long before Air Canada exploded. We made some money off of it, but what can you say? Can we look at SEPI? Sure. Let me just pull them up. All right, here we go. So this is your REX Crypto Equity Premium Income ETF. I like the sound of it. Actually, you know what's funny? Rex is one of the companies I turned down. But yeah, I mean, 50 to 51, that's not bad. I mean, if you're like anything right now that has crypto in it, like right now, this is not giving me a lot of information. Like I think too, because it's a newer ETF, it's also a US one. It's not giving me a lot here. But yeah, Rex, and I still, every so often, I still get something from Rex as they, even though I turn them down, they still send me updates on stuff. I'm like, what's going on? But yeah, interesting. So yeah, right now, this is pretty much all I have. I don't really have a lot of information here, like quite literally nothing in here. I don't know what they're holding, but I do think they're probably going to be fine as we move through crypto. But once we get to the winter, this would be another one I would definitely be worried about. But right now, there's just nothing here, and that's one of the reasons. Like other than the fact that I didn't know Rex from a hole in the ground when they first contacted me. So what can I say? All right. And John is thanking JJ for the input on JEPI and JEPQ. All right. All right. We'll pass that for the moment. Marginal. All right. Prairie says thank you. All right. Ian says, what's a good platform to research ETFs? Seems like Simply Wall Street struggles with ETFs. Yeah. Simply Wall Street's not going to give you a lot of information with ETFs. Like I find that when you're researching an ETF, for one, I will use all the data I can get out of everything from Yahoo Finance, TMX. I will also heavily use their own website as well, because you can get a crazy amount of information in there if you go digging on various ETFs, and they'll give you like pretty much everything that you could want. And between those, you can get a really good overview on it. I don't know how good Seeking Alpha is on ETFs. I haven't looked at them in a while. Let's try something here. Let's actually. I know I've been kind of like, I've been kind of anti Seeking Alpha, but that's fine. I'm not even going to go into their paid thing. I'm just going to take a look here. EITUN. I actually went in here because they had some data that I was looking for when I was doing that deep dive. Let's pick HYLD. Sure, let's do HYLD. All right. So you will find and this is just in this here Seeking Alpha. This is the non-paid version, but they have a lot of different things. You can get summary, you can get the holdings. They're not giving it to you, and you know why? Because this one holds ETFs. That's why, but that's fine. Let's see here. What do they have? They have a little bit on some of their performance. Do we have anything here? I probably picked the worst ETF I could have for this, but hey, why not? Dividend yield is in here. Dividend growth rate is in here. So if you're looking for, well, that's just their TTM. Nothing on the CAGR. A little bit on risk, liquidity. There we go. They also will give you some pairs at times. This was a bad one. Let's actually pick a better ETF. Let me see here. You know what? Let's go with let's go BDY. There we go, BDY. All right, this is a much better one. So when we come into VDY, you're going to get all of the normal stuff. You go into your holdings. Oh, they're not giving us holdings. Maybe it's because it's Canadian. That's weird. Okay. You do get a lot of information here on your performance. All right. Nothing on their expenses, their dividends. You do get the CAGR information on the dividends. So your 3-year, for example. I know every so often I get, there's at least one person here who's always asking me about the CAGR, but you do get that in Seeking Alpha. So I think the long and short of the answer is you pretty much have to piece together stuff from a whole bunch of sources, but your number one source on an ETF is going to be their page. Going to Vanguard and looking up VDY, or going to Hamilton and looking up, HYLD. That's going to be the best part. Anchor Tour says, any Canadian REITs you think will thrive better than others with the next rate cuts? I think they're all going to do okay with the rate cuts. Now, what I'm banking on is RioCan for one. One of the reasons, too, I also like RioCan is I know that even if, let's say there was a black swan event and things went the opposite direction for some reason. So, for example, remember how I mentioned if we had a trade war with the U.S., what would happen to inflation? That would be, to me, would be an event where I would, if I was holding a REIT, I'd want it to be something like a RioCan, just because I know that stability that they have. They'll still go down, of course, in that situation. But right now, and I'll show you. Let's actually go. Whoops, where are we at here? There we go. We'll go to RioCan here, REI. All right, and we're going to go to the 6 months right here. All right, so here's the 6 months. So this was the initial rate cuts. That caused a lot of excitement. Now they've been going down a little bit since then, and that's fine. I'm okay with this because I have been averaging down. So that's not, well, technically I'm not averaging down because I bought most of the RioCan down here before the explosion. But for now, this is still not bad because I am expecting to see another bump like this. Will it happen this year? It could start to happen before the end of the year, but I'm thinking January is probably going to start to look a little bit better. So I'm kind of doubling down on this one, and I'm also doubling down on my good old RMAX. It doesn't. I mean, it's going to look similar, like it's been heading down as well. Let's just take a look here, and you'll sort of see, it's had its big explosion. Now it's kind of leveling out a bit, but it also, keep in mind, I think this one here is. Now, I know they just paid the dividend not that long ago, so a couple of days or so. That's getting ready for, I think, another big movement to the upside. Now, this one's a little bit different, too, because it's holding 50% US, 50% Canadian REITs. But I'm loving it. And keep in mind, it also has a nice little dividend here. So you're getting like a 9.269% dividend. So, you got to take that into consideration as well. But I'm liking both of those. Another thing I'm also looking at is I'm looking at TF as well. So this here, it's not a REIT, it's a mortgage investment company. So they invest in mortgages. But you'll see it's kind of done the same thing. Let's actually look at the 6 months, just so that we're comparing apples to apples. It did the same thing, and it's kind of also in that little correction stage after the big growth from the initial rate cuts. But now the last 50 basis points, that hasn't even filtered in yet. If we get that other 50 basis points, that's another whole percentage. That's going to be good for companies like these and for the REITs. So, I'm sort of stacking, and this month I will probably be buying more. As I prepare myself for the second leg of this. Now I'll have to decide when I'm getting out. I haven't decided yet, but I will eventually, for sure. JJ says that Yahoo Finance is pretty useful. Yeah. I think Yahoo Finance. I mean, Yahoo Finance has a ton of information. Now with REITs though, with ETFs, you are going to find that there are some things that you're not going to get. But when you're looking at stocks, oh my God, you get almost everything there if you know how to read it or you know where to find it. But yeah, between like I said, even if you only used Yahoo Finance and the ETFs page, you're gonna get all the information I think you need. JJ says, I thought you were going to pick RMAX for the Seeking Alpha search. I didn't pick it because they were fairly new. That was kind of the reason why I kind of left them out. But what can I say? What can I say? You know, it's. I think it's going to be fun. I think we're going to have. The market's going to be really interesting as we move forward. And January and February to me are going to be very interesting months because we're going to have to see the effect. Will we get a second Trump bump? Maybe. It's going to be really interesting just to see how everything pulls together. And then keep in mind, we've got crypto. Crypto's doing its thing. Like right now, it's kind of like, well, let me show you guys. I'll show you guys this. This is kind of freaky. I'm just going to make these a little smaller here. Right now, crypto is pretty much moving at a straight line. So it's getting ready. It's getting ready to break. It's getting ready to break into something. And this might be, well, maybe not. It might be the beginning of a break, but I haven't actually did any lines yet. Let's throw some lines in here. All right, let's see here. I'm going to try to go, and normally what I will do with these is I'm going to actually go from here. No, that's not going to work, you see, because we're way outside of it. But now we could have a channel coming like this. That would be interesting. Well, it might be that we have a small channel. So if that's the case, and let's just go with this because right now this seems to be, and that's the thing. Sometimes you have to sort of play with it as you get more data. But let's just say that this channel is what we're looking at. That means that we're going to get a breakout. Probably, I imagine, probably by tomorrow. It's either going to break back up pretty much to almost the all-time high, so 103, or it could also do a correction down to about 95. Now, I'm currently not sitting in a trade. I'm waiting for a new entry point, so I want it to break down. Kind of a funny thing to say, but I'd love to see it break down in the morning. I have a feeling it won't. I have a feeling that I'm probably, and this is what's been happening to me a lot on the weekends, is that the price I sell out of my trade on Friday, it tends to be right at the same place on Monday. And I'm like, come on. If I'm not holding it, you should crash big time. But it never does. It just never does. So I'm hoping, even if it's down around here tomorrow morning and doesn't break out of this, I'd be happy because, I think I think I bought in somewhere's around, I think I sold it somewhere's up around here. So yeah, if it could go lower, that would be nice. Just something to think of. All right. Good luck. Good luck with the volleyball. What do you think of ZRE? All right, let's head over to another of these BMO funds. So this is your equal weight REIT fund. All right. Now this is going to be, I'll tell you right now, I'm going to like it for the moment. And keep in mind, it's doing exactly what all the REITs are doing. Take a look. It is going up and it's doing this retraction right now. So it's going to follow the same route as the rest of them. Now, the only difference is with this one here, like take a look here, you got the dividend's not that bad. It's like almost 5%. So you're not going to get the big payout that you're getting with RMAX, but I think this is a nice stable one. I got no problems with it. None at all. Like if you're happy with that dividend, I think it's a good solid REIT. Let's see. Scott's saying, sorry, never sell your Bitcoin. Yeah, absolutely. Now keep in mind, the stuff that I'm selling is actually, it's just an ETF that I'm doing swing trading on. So it's just part of the way I make money because, YouTube is not yet profitable. So I make money swinging. That's kind of that whole thing. But I also have a small I have a small amount on ShakePay actually. So now that Bitcoin is back up in the higher amounts, so now that we're back up at, towards new all-time highs, I've been using the ShakePay. I've been using it. I think I'm right now on a um 179 day streak, I believe, or 180 days, something like that. But here's the secret, guys. If you're using ShakePay, you'll notice they've cut back the amount of Satoshis that they give big time. But here's a there is a secret to it. Let me see here. Where is my oh, do I not have it anymore? All right, give me a second, guys. I will pull up the whiteboard on Canva. Here we go, whiteboard. All right, so with ShakePay, the way it works is when you set up ShakePay, you basically you shake it every day and you get some sats. So, you do a whoops, that's not what I wanted. I want to draw. There we go. Yeah, red's fine. So you do your shake. I'll put the S there. Now, when you shake, you will get one of two values. You might get about 265 sats, or you might get 21. All right. Why and what's the difference? Well, the way ShakePay works nowadays, in the olden days, you would sign up for ShakePay, and as long as you got referred to it through a referral link, I have one of those down below, by the way, in case anybody wants to hook up there. Before, in the olden days, every day you would shake, you get a higher number, and this number would slowly go up every single day. And it didn't matter what you did. You could just basically, you could go in, you could set up your account, and you could just continue shaking. Great, fantastic. But now, if you have not contributed in 8 days, if you have not contributed in 8 days, what happens is it goes down to 21. And then the next time you contribute money to your account and buy Bitcoin, it goes back to 265 for 8 days. So the strategy I am using right now is every 8 days, I buy $10 worth of Bitcoin. So that $10 worth of Bitcoin keeps us up at about 265. Now, 265 sats right now, I think it's worth something like 40 cents maybe. But, this is free 40 cents every single day. Bang, bang, bang. It adds up. And as Bitcoin, like if Bitcoin explodes further and goes up to like 120, that's going to be worth more. Now, mind you, ShakePay will probably cut this again. They actually did recently cut it it was up around 400 and something. They cut it, what was it, maybe a month ago? But that's kind of that whole thing. I've worked it out. You got an 8-day cycle. So it does add up. It adds up. And even if, guys, and here's the funny thing, you could throw your 10 bucks in. You can get your 8 days of this and throw another 10 bucks and get another 8 days. And then you can pull the whole thing out if you want. And then, throw 10 bucks back in again, and it works. It works that way. So, it's a neat little system. Now, I will say though that at tax time, you usually end up having to they usually give you this whole big sheet, and they tend, at least the last time I did it, they counted all of these transactions, and I just had to use something like I think it was Coinly I used to just get them to figure out the data to import into my taxes. But nonetheless, it's free 40 cents every day. It's not a lot, but it's a little. But keep in mind, if you get 40 cents today in Bitcoin, and Bitcoin goes up, let's say it goes up 10%, well, that 40 cents is now 44 cents. So you are getting the growth on crypto on this as well. So that's what I've been doing. So I'm just mentioning it because we were talking about it. Now, Scott has a crazy streak. Look at this, 1,095. Well, I will say one thing. I think the longest streak I ever had was like 200 and something, and then I forgot. But now I've noticed the one time I forgot in this current streak, my phone actually sent me a notification to let me know that I hadn't shaked yet. And I was like, ah, perfect. So I grabbed it. I did the shake pay. I did it. I did it. So anyway, that's just something that I do. If you're interested in doing it yourself, like I said, link down below. Don't just sign up though for ShakePay without using somebody's link. Otherwise, you won't be eligible to do the shaking. So that's the only thing I say about that. All right. Amrit says, would you pick Armax more so over ZRE? I was debating increasing my position in ZRE by DCA, or maybe was thinking of grabbing a different REIT or REIT ETF. Okay. In my case, um, I'm all in on Armax right now. And part of the reason for that is that I have that exposure to the US REITs as well. So I'm getting that diversification. That's why. If now it is a covered call. Now, if I was looking for if there was a version of Armax without the covered calls, that would be something I probably would be involved in as well, especially when maybe perhaps as we move into a market that's perhaps more favorable for just regular REITs or just regular funds that don't have as much covered calls. That's something I would look into. But right now, yeah, I like Armax. That would be my answer. Doesn't mean it has to be your answer. There's absolutely nothing wrong with ZRE. I think ZRE is fine. Now, I could probably get that same diversification with ZRE, and then I would have to find a US equivalent. I can probably do that. All right. What do you think about a GDV? All right, guys, let's head over to GDV. GDV. Here we go. All right. So this here, it's a split car. It's a split core. So the global dividend split, growth split core, Class A shares. You're going to get a crazy dividend. So 10%. So 10% is not bad. Not bad. So this here is a split core. I'm going to pull up the 3-year. You can see we are getting some movement to the upside, which is fantastic. I like in bull markets. In bull markets, I have no problem with split core. Although I will say that typically you can get the same or better dividends nowadays with a lot of the covered call funds. So I don't find them as attractive as they used to be. But you go back 3 years and you wanted really good dividends, you were almost always having to rely on split core. And then, of course, once we went into into a down market and into the bear market, the split cores, some of them suffered. Some of them cut dividends. Now, mind you, some of them will cut dividends from time to time. It is just part of their function, and they're part of the way they work. So for that reason, for me, I would, if you asked me 3 years ago, I would basically say I love split cores in a bull market. Not a fan of them in a in less viable economic time. So a bear market, recession, I probably wouldn't personally hold a split core in a recession. But some people love them. Some people do love them, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. But right now, as I said, I think there's enough options with covered calls that I don't really hold any. If I was going to hold one, probably would be like ENS. So that one there, and I'll show you. Let's pull it up. This one here is the E-split core. They hold, only thing they hold is Enbridge. So let's pull this on up here. And as you can see, Enbridge is doing really well right now. So this split core is doing fantastic. And you'll see they have a nice 10.986% yield. They're moving up nice and well. This is also one that during the roughest time of the last bear market, I think they missed one. Dividend. That was it. But for the most part, they've been really, really good. So if I was going to go with a split core, this would be one. Now, keep in mind, when you hear Enbridge, don't think of oil, think of utility. Utilities are doing well with the rate cuts. Hence, this is what we got. This big movement up. So nothing too shabby about that. Nothing too shabby at all. So just something to keep in mind. All right, guys, we have hit 2.5 hours. You know what that means. We're at the end. Once again, you guys have been a fantastic group. Really good seeing Scott drop in. You gotta drop in more often, Scott. And of course, everybody else. You guys absolutely, you absolutely rock. You absolutely rock. Um, just one last question here. So new to split core. Would ENS be better than holding Enbridge? Um, Maybe. If you reinvested those dividends back into ENS, I think they might beat Enbridge, but I'd have to run the statistical analysis. I haven't run the math on it. This is just a might. Um, I'll have to do that, Ambrit. I'll do that. Ask me again next week. I'll do that. And you know what? Give me a second here. I'm going to Command Shift 4. There we go. I'm just highlighting your question. And I'll look that up. So for next, I'll have that for next Sunday. I'll bring that. That'll be fun to see whether that works out. I'm just going off of pure instinct. I think if you reinvest the dividends, I think it will, but I'll have the math for you next week. All right, guys. Until next week. Well, actually, until tomorrow, because we do have, of course, live streams every day up until December 24th. I will see you guys then. Have a fantastic night. I can't. I'm looking forward to supper. Looking forward to chilling a little bit. Oh, all right. One last comment. I can't ignore Kiev and Kaz. Just got the last minute here. Look forward to the video. Have a good evening, gang. Absolutely. Everybody, have a great night. I will see you guys again tomorrow. Until then, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.